He is going to be taking on Nate Diaz at UFC 230 in what can only be described as an absolutely monster fight. But it came on the heels of a really weird press conference. The Diamond joins us now, Dustin Poirier. Dustin, how are you?
Good. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man, it feels like I'm talking to you every week. I appreciate you making time for me.
It's all good, man.
All right, are you back home? Or are you still on the West Coast?
No, I'm in Louisiana.
In Louisiana, okay. Well, let's start with what happened on Friday. What is your response to the craziness of that UFC presser?
It didn't feel that crazy to me. It felt like a normal UFC press conference.
Okay. You didn't, I mean, I guess you're not fazed by Nate's, I don't know what you want to call it, objections to the way he's being promoted?
Bro, I'm just worried about myself. I'm not fazed by none of these guys.
So, all right. You're confident that whatever his objections, this fight is not, it's going to go forward, no problem, right?
I mean, as far as I know, I think I'm the one fighting the guy. If something changed, I think they would have let me know. I haven't heard anything. Nate says a lot of stuff, but when he signs a fight contract, I don't, really know of any times that he's not shown up to fight or pulled out of a fight. He says a lot of stuff and does a lot of stuff in the media in between fights, but when he signs a contract, the guy shows up and puts it all on the line every time.
Yeah, actually, in his defense, what I would say is I believe this is true. Neither Nick nor Nate have ever withdrawn from a fight due to injury, ever.
Right.
They've got a pretty good sterling record in that regard. Did the UFC tell you what he was complaining about? Did we ever figure this out?
I think what it was is he was upset that he came down to do the press conference and then they promoted Conor and Khabib, and those guys weren't even there. And he was there. Like, I don't know. I think that's maybe more of what it was. Like, you're wasting his time promoting these other guys while he's there on stage and ready to talk about his fight type thing. But I'm not 100%. That's just hearsay,
Fair enough. All right, so I spoke to you after your fantastic win at UFC Calgary, and you had sort of laid out basically the scenario moving forward. One was title shot. Okay, well, now we know Khabib's going to be fighting Conor. But the other one was, only if something really big came around. Here you are, a week since that conversation, because, we spoke last Tuesday almost, and you took the fight. So in your mind, why did this get you to sign? What was so big about it?
Nate's probably putting the title aside. Nate's probably the second biggest fight that I can get. Besides, it would be Conor would be the biggest fight, obviously, and then it's Nate Diaz, who, that's in the lightweight division. That's the biggest fight I can get right now. Then, Nate's a guy I've always watched fight. I've been a fan of his for a long time. I've always wanted to fight him. And Madison Square Garden's another part of it. I've always wanted to fight in Madison Square Garden. So much history there. I fought a lot of places. That's one place I want to scratch off the list. So this fight just made sense. If the title fight was, if the UFC told me that, you're going to fight for the belt in 4 months, I could have waited 4 or 5 months. But the way it looks, Conor and Khabib are going to fight towards the end of the year. Then I don't know what's going to happen when the belt's going to be defended again. And you never know what's going to happen, man. So I don't want to wait 10 months. I want to stay busy, and this fight made a lot of sense to me.
Man, someone put this out on Twitter. This guy who goes, I don't know if you know him, Dustin, but he goes by the name of the Grabaka Hitman, Kaposa. You'll have faced, let me see if I got this right, Nate Diaz, Eddie Alvarez, and Justin Gaethje in a 6-month and 20-day span. When you think about it, that's kind of crazy, but it also might be one of the better runs outside of any kind of title defense of any fighter in the modern era, potentially, in that short amount of time.
When I beat Nate Diaz and it's my turn to fight for that belt, when I win that belt, when history looks back at all this, nobody can ever say I didn't earn anything. I never took an easy route. I've always fought the best guys. I've never pulled out of a fight. I've never missed weight. I've put it all on the line every time, win, lose, or draw. And that's what I want to be left behind in my legacy, a guy who just pushed through it all and kept at it and stayed true to the path. And this is all part of my legacy.
Do you know where this fight is going to be put on the card?
This is a co-main event.
Okay, so this is the co-main event. Interesting. And they've told you definitively there's no way they're going to put an interim title to make it 5 rounds. For sure, it's only 3.
I mean, I didn't even think of it that way. I would love to do it for the interim belt. I would love to do it for 5 rounds. You know, that's what I said at the press conference. This is a main event fight. You know, if I don't finish Nate in 3 rounds, the fans are going to be upset. You know, we're going to want more action. We're going to want another 2 rounds. But, yeah, this is a 3-round fight.
Okay, so let's talk about the fight itself. First things first, the Diaz brothers, as I mentioned, never pulled out due to injury. You know as well as I do, they always come prepared. They always come ready to fight. They always come in excellent shape. My only question would be, while Nate has certainly been training, he has not been actively competing. How much of a factor do you think that will be?
You know, he's a vet. He's a veteran. Everybody's different, but you know, when you have as many fights as he has, as many fights as I have, you know how you need to feel. It's more about timing and rhythm. You know, a few sparring sessions, I'm sure he'll start to see that come back if it's not already there. He's in the gym always. He's competing in the gym. I'm sure he's doing jiu-jitsu all the time. And yeah, the competition and the damage you take in sparring and all this type of stuff, sometimes it's better for guys. You know, they feel better coming back after time off. So everybody's different. It's tough to say anything about that.
Yeah. All right. So in your mind, what are his biggest strengths?
Obviously, his volume, his punching volume, conditioning, his length, his jiu-jitsu. You know,
It would be, in my judgment, it would be oversimplifying things to say you only need to worry about boxing, because if in fact it does go to the ground, he is a formidable talent there. But relative to, let's say, Eddie Alvarez, is it fair to say, while Nate is a very, very tough competitor, it's only 3 rounds and he just operates on a narrower skill set? He's very, very skilled in that space, but he's not really going to kickbox you, is he? Right? So in that sense, is he slightly easier to prepare for?
nah, man, none of these guys are easy to prepare for. It's just a whole different thing. It's a whole different game plan. It's a whole different range. It's a southpaw. Things line up differently. Yeah, nah, no fight's easier preparing for than the other. These are just different preparations that go into these.
Now, what's interesting is that you're going to be on this co-main event, right? If you win, you took this fight because why? It's, as you mentioned, Madison Square Garden. It's a huge name in the sport. Have they told you, no matter what, if you win this, title shot is yours? I mean, I guess we can all rationally surmise that you would get it. But what I'm wondering is, has the UFC made any guarantees?
No, nothing's guaranteed in this thing, in this MMA stuff that we do. But I could probably wait for it now. You know, if I really wanted to, I can sit out and wait. But that's just not how I roll. I want to stay busy. I want to keep beating the guys and keep building to my career. And yeah, that's what I want to do.
Where would where would beating Nate Diaz in your mind be on your resume if you were ranking your best wins? Where would you put that one?
You know, he's just another guy who's been around a long time, a legend of the sport. You know, beating him after I beat Eddie Alvarez, I'm going back to back on the guys who I think are some of the biggest names in lightweight history. So that's just solidifying me as being amongst those guys. You know, when it's all said and done, you know, when I get my title shot, when I get the belt, like I said before, this is just all part of the legacy. This is what, you know, part of the reason I fight.
Let's talk about the fight that's going to be happening a month before that. It's now official. Conor taking on Khabib. We just had Sarah Kaufman on, and you know as well as I do, people are going to be talking about your fight, but of course, that one's going to be taking up a lot of oxygen as well. You have fought Conor, of course, at a different time in your life at 145. Early prediction for that fight, Conor versus Khabib.
I'm kind of leaning towards Khabib. I just don't know, you know, if he's going to stop Conor or whatnot, but I'm thinking he's going to get the victory.
So the one thing I'm trying to wrap my head around is I think we can all agree if Khabib locks up with him, right, it's okay, that's when it begins to tilt heavily in his favor. How hard is it to be a sniper and then catch someone like Khabib on the outside and put him away? Land punches, yes, but land like the devastating kind that change a fight. Like, how much of a chance really does Conor have to do that?
I mean, he has a huge chance. He's got great timing, great judge of distance. You know, we'll just see if the takedown and fits holds up and the cardio holds up. That's all he has to do. I think the openings will be there, but he just has to stand the test of the wrestling and the conditioning, the physical part that Khabib's going to put on at early in the fight.
Right, and so the same question would apply here. Nate took all that time off. So did Conor. In fact, Conor still took the fight, a year ago this month, but it was in boxing. So the ring rust questions, again, you think it boils down to this idea of, some guys are just different. Some guys can do it, some guys can't?
Yeah, it's all like a mindset, really. Once you get your rhythm down, your timing, everything else falls into place.
By the way, you're going to be taking on Nate Diaz. You ever had an opponent who is verbally, like, in your face in a fight before?
I mean, I've had exchanges with guys in fights where we're both talking crap, but maybe not as much as this one, as Nate has done in the past.
What kind of things has an opponent said to you before?
I don't know, man. But definitely, I've had some words with guys while we're fighting.
Are you anticipating that being the case here? It seemed like, it's interesting. You and Nate are still, I think you're obviously much younger than he is, but you're still relatively youthful, both of you guys. But it seemed like you both had this like veteran respect of one another. I know you're going to be being prepared for every contingency, but do you get the sense that that'll be a component come fight night?
We'll see, man. I think he knows what kind of fighter I am, and obviously I know what kind of fighter he is, and we both know that each other are dangerous, and we, I think there's a level of respect there.
What's interesting is, you can only worry about the things you can control, but you are the guy, right, that pulled him out of his, what do you want to call it, hiatus, sabbatical, whatever. Why do you think you were the guy? Like, what is it you think he saw in you that made him want to hop out of taking time off?
I don't really have a clue, man. It could be because I know him and Eddie Alvarez had some, a history of disliking each other for sure. I heard that they were, about to get into it a few times, and maybe since I beat Alvarez, Nate just decided, this is the time, and this guy just beat somebody I want to beat up, so maybe it just lines up. I have no clue.
Yeah, well, potentially that's it as well. I don't know if you saw the news today. George St. Pierre was I believe, in Australia doing some kind of press tour, and he openly stated he would like to he doesn't think the UFC is going to give it to him, but that he would like to get the winner of Khabib and Conor. What do you make of St. Pierre's interest in this winner?
Look, after I beat Nate Diaz, I'm fighting for the belt, or I'm fighting GSP, but he's not gonna get it before I do.
So you'd be open to fighting him if that came to it, but there's no way in your mind he should be jumping the queue.
Nah, it's not happening.
I don't know, man. UFC's making some weird calls these days,
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Hey, before you go, appreciate your time here. How is the charitable effort going back in Louisiana? I'm assuming that's partly why you're there in addition to seeing family. Last time we spoke, folks could still donate to the Good Fight. Is there an update on this?
Yeah, you can donate at thegoodfightgroup.com, but the auction ended today, and we sold the fight kit. So I'm really pumped about that, man. Backpacks are ordered. All we have left to do is school supplies. Backpacks are on their way. All we have left to do is lock down everything with the computers. But that's in the process.
Now, are you going to be doing this for this upcoming UFC 230 fight as well?
Of course.
So this is a thing now for the rest of your career?
Yeah, rest of my fighting career, and then beyond that.
Well, very good. As your profile raises, are you having more and more success attracting the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Charitable contributions from outside parties?
For sure. I got to say that just on donations alone, this fight and this fight camp has been the most traction we've got with a good fight. You know, we were able to buy a lot of stuff before we even sold the fight kit. We were able to order a lot of things. So it's all coming together, man. It's picking up steam, and these fights keep getting bigger, so the platform keeps growing for me to raise money.
And if folks want more information, where do they go?
thegoodfightgroup.com.
Okay, thegoodfightgroup.com. We'll be sure to tweet that out. Dustin, I really appreciate your time. I know you're going to be a busy man on Fight Week, but I'll just say it now. The studio here is in New York City. So if and when you have an opportunity to stop by and say hello to us here in our studios, there's a warm seat for you whenever you're ready, okay?
I appreciate it. I'll definitely do that, man.
All right, come on by anytime and have fun in Louisiana. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you.